Coach Corey Wayne, and this is my video coaching newsletter. And the topic of this newsletter is going to be, you are not broken. There is nothing wrong with you. God designed you exactly, perfectly the way He wanted you to. If you really want to enjoy life, you've got to learn to let go of your rules, your attachments, your judgments. In other words, the things that you believe that you think you need to be or that you think you need to become in order to really live the kind of life that you want. Because I've learned, like when I was younger, I had a lot of rules, I had a lot of goals, and I had the way that I thought my world needed to be in order to make me happy. And as I became older and I started achieving the goals that I wanted, I remember basically by the time I was 30, I had pretty much achieved every goal and way beyond whatever I thought I would achieve when I was 18 years old. And so it's like, what do you do when you hit 30 years old and you've achieved every major goal and you're going, holy fuck? I mean, that when you basically achieve a lifetime's worth of accomplishments in a short period of time, what do you do then? And as I've gotten older, what I've learned to do is to let go. And the more I'm able to not get attached to whether it's a relationship or a business deal or a business partner or an investor or things going a certain way or an advertising campaign in a business working a certain way, the more as you get older, and you just kind of learn to kind of take a step back from things and not hold on too tightly and not get so upset when things don't work out the way that you want. Because when you're younger, you tend to really be focused on things and take things personally when shit doesn't go your way. But as you get older and you have some perspective on life and you can start to kind of see things in multiple decade type of mapping them out in essence and seeing how all the dots kind of connect going forward, it's like when you start to see that and you start to notice that, it's like you don't really get so wound up anymore and you learn to relax. And I remember I did a video about a week ago, and it was a study that they did where they interviewed people that were basically 1,500 people from ages 70 years old to 100 plus. And they were asking them, what is your greatest life wisdom? And one of the things that they talked about, that they just harped on over and over and over again, I wish I hadn't spent so much of my life worrying about who I was going to become, or things weren't going to work out for me, or was I going to get that money to pay the bills. Because crisis is always temporary, but obviously when you're going through it, it seems really urgent. You got to do something about it. But as you get older, it's like the rough edges kind of go away, and you don't really let things bother you as much. And there was a part in the movie Lost in Translation. There was Bill Murray's character, and he has a quote I loved. He said, basically, the older you are, the older you get, and the more you know what you want, the less you let things upset you in life. And so I've got an email here from a guy who he's had a bunch of successes in his relationships, but he seems to see this pattern over and over, that he gets to a certain point and he's like one day thinking, I'm going to marry this girl, it's the perfect girl for me. And then he gets that girl to that point, or at just some point after that, he's kind of like, he wants the next biggest thing. He wants to move on to something else, and in a way he feels guilty for that. And so we're going to talk about letting go of things and letting go of your need to be right, letting go of your need for things to be a certain way. I remember when I was wrestling with divorcing and leaving my wife, I remember thinking, God, here I am, 26, 27 years old, I'm already getting a fucking divorce. It's like, what kind of a man am I here? What kind of a failure am I? It's like I'm so young, and here I am, like, oh my God, it was really surreal for me to accept that I had epically fucked up so bad and got into a marriage because I was weak, and in essence not willing to stand up for myself and what I really wanted. And so I created a tremendous amount of suffering, not only in my own life, but obviously my wife's life, because we just didn't have a great relationship. And because I was too weak, I was just young and inexperienced, I didn't know any better. But it's one of those things that's really traumatic, and you learn from it. And the big thing that I learned, I always look back and say, I'm never going to fucking do that again. Never, ever again will I marry somebody unless I'm 100% sure. And I've come very, very fucking close twice since then. I mean, I'm talking like really fucking close to getting married with a couple different women that I've dated. But it's like deep down, it's like something inside me just, it's not right. It's time to move on. And it's like, so, but every time a relationship ends, whether you're the one that ends it or you get dumped in essence, it still hurts like a motherfucker. When you love the shit out of a girl and you're the one that ends a relationship, it's like still like ripping your heart out. And if she's got kids that you've happened to fall in love with and you become tight with her family, it's even worse. So it's just not a pleasant thing. And so I learned that when I get into relationships, because it's really painful to end relationships, it's like if you're going to get in one and risk obviously the pain of a breakup and going through all that stuff, you got to make sure you make a good fucking choice. And what I learned in my first marriage, the biggest lesson that I could impart on you is to not fucking settle. If there's something inside of you that's going, this ain't right, dude, you got to fucking listen to that. Because that little voice will only grow as time goes by. And so I've got a few quotes that I want to read. First one is by Alvin Price. And his parents need to fill a child's bucket of self-esteem so high that the rest of the world can't poke enough holes to drain it dry. I remember a part in Steve Jobs' biography where he was talking about in elementary school. He was like the school system. It almost just destroyed the person I was. Like they almost destroyed my confidence and destroyed, what's the word I'm looking for? The enthusiasm. It's like, because everybody, like when you're a kid, they have dreams of who they want to become. But it's like by the time you become 18, you graduate, it's like a lot of people are just kind of like on a conveyor belt of life, and they're kind of, it's like their dreams die hard basically, and they just kind of give up at some point. Some people it happens earlier than others, but the average person tends to give up on themselves and their dreams and just live a life of mediocrity. The average person in life, they tend to major in minor things. And the idea is that you want to be at your best. If you really want to be happy, if you want to be fulfilled on a level that most people only dream of, you got to do things that are exciting to you, that are emotionally compelling. I say this all the time. It's like a lot of guys come to me and they think, I need help with pickup skills or I need help with techniques. And when we really start to get into it, we look at their career, maybe their career sucks, or their business is in the shitter, or they're just doing something they really fucking hate. And so by helping them get focused on doing things that are emotionally compelling and exciting, they become much more happier. And it's a lot easier to engage a member of the opposite sex when they go, hey, what do you do for a living? You're like, oh my God, I love my job. I love what I do. It's my passion. As opposed to going, what do you do for a living? Oh, fucking same shit, different day. I mean, that kind of fucking attitude. I mean, how many people you know in your life that have that kind of attitude? Probably quite a few. And we all do. We all know people that are like that. Another one's by Ella Fitzgerald. She says, don't give up trying to do what you really want to. Where there is love and inspiration, you can't go wrong. And this is another favorite of mine. This is from Joseph Campbell. We must be willing to get rid of the life we've planned so as to have the life that is waiting for us. The old skin has to be shed before the new one can come. And I learned this when I was younger. It's like, because when you're younger and you haven't been through a lot of relationships, you haven't been through a lot of breakups. It's like when the first time it happens, I was talking to a guy the other day, he was really young. And he's 18 years old, first breakup, girlfriend in 2 years, and he's fucking devastated. And he feels like his world's over. It's like we were talking about the other day, it feels like somebody died in your family. But it's like you get older and you've been through it enough times, your heart gets beat up, gets chewed up a little bit. You still can end a relationship, but you know you'll get through it at some point because you've been through it before. But it's like when you're younger and you haven't been through those things, it's like the fear of what it's like on the other side can be really poignant and really scary to think about that. But after you go through it enough times, repetition's the mother of skill in anything in life. You are what you do repeatedly. And that's what makes you better. It's like every experience, every relationship. And the way I look at life is every person that comes into your life, they have a gift for you. And you have a gift for them. Doesn't mean they're going to stay in your life forever. Maybe it's 5 minutes. Maybe it's 50 years. But the idea is to show up and give each moment of your life your best shot. Because at some point in time, that will be your last moment. And wouldn't you have rather have lived your life fully and completely and gone and taken all those kinds of risks? So he says, hey, Corey, I really enjoy your emails, and you're a great friend to everyone who follows your stuff. And when it seems like everyone else in the world is bullshitting pretty much all of the time, it's always nice to receive your emails and feel that someone is always on your side. Well, I appreciate that. And what I've learned about life is, like, I believe most people talk like I do. Because I go over the world and people say whatever's on their mind. It's like the only people that I tend to notice or see that are worried about political correctness and are full of shit are usually politicians and people in the media, and most of those are the most phony and insecure people that you'll ever meet in your life. It's like all the fucking people that are always concerned about who was dating who and who's hanging out with who in high school. It's like they all grew up, went off to college, and they either went into the media or they became politicians. Like, we have the biggest fucking losers running the show. It's like, well, that's a whole other topic. But I appreciate the kind words. And so he says, I have a question about my own personal attitude towards women rather than a specific relationship issue. I'm just over 40 years old, and I've been in a number of different relationships over the years. And all of them seem to have one thing in common. As soon as I get what I want, or maybe what I think I want, and what I've learned in life, it's like what you think you want, or the reason why you're going through what it is that you're going through right now, is not actually the reason why you're actually going through it. And you don't really are able to see that until sometimes months or even years later when you look back on things. I was one of the things I really picked up on in Steve Jobs' biography is connecting the dots. When it's like you're not really able to connect the dots until you're able to look back. And so as you get older and you gain perspective, you realize, oh, now I understand why I met that person. Now I understand why I got fired from that job. Now I understand why that chick cheated on me. It's like all these things that happen, it's like they help shape who you become. In essence, they're preparing you for the people that you're going to meet and interact with in the future. But when we hold on to relationships or careers or jobs or businesses or people in our life that we really just kind of need to let go, that enables the universe to bring us faster and faster what it is we want, so we actually get to where we want to go quicker. It's only when we try to hold on to things and keep things the way they are that we tend to suffer, because, at the end of the day, everything in life is change, and everything you love and you care about in this world is eventually going to dissolve. And so the only thing you're really left with is to find a way to enjoy it, to make what you do and who you do it with all revolve around your personal choice and your personal freedom. So he says, my interest drops and I feel like I no longer want to be with that person, and I start looking around again. It's a strange paradox, and I've been in a few relationships like this and convinced that I want to marry and spend my life with the woman concerned, but as soon as she agrees to the idea, I back away. I have tried to interpret this and understand my own reasoning a little better without coming to a convincing conclusion. Well, like I was just saying a second ago, life is change, and that's what you realize, and it's kind of what I started to realize years ago, is that just it happens sometimes. That's why I say it's so important to date somebody at least 2 to 3 years before you decide to get married, because it's like sometimes some relationships, they just run their course. You just get to a point, and it's like you kind of know where your path is going and her path is going. It's not aligned. And the best thing you do is bless them and let that person go, because in essence, what's really going on is like you have a belief run around your head somewhere that says, well, everything's great with this girl, I should marry them and spend the rest of my life with them, right? But that's what society tells us. That's what your friends tell you. That's what we've been conditioned, all of us, to kind of believe and think. But with society and the way technology is evolving, the fact that people are literally potentially now going to be living for hundreds of years, think about it. You can have literally dozens and dozens of careers and dozens of businesses over the course of your life. And so, like, what has really served me well is instead of, because it's like what I was talking about earlier about my ex-wife, when I realized that it's like I fucked up and I needed to get out of that relationship, it fucking hurt, man. The reality of that, thinking about that, thinking, oh, God, I've got to go through a divorce. telling her this and just knowing that it's going to be painful, that she's going to be bawling her eyes out, and what are my friends going to think? What are my family going to think about? That's like, those are unpleasant thoughts. And you feel really bad. I wrestled with it for weeks before I finally did it. But afterwards, I felt amazing. I felt free. I felt like I was honoring my truth. I was honoring the calling inside. I was honoring my feelings. And I've learned in life, the more I trust that, the better my life tends to be, the more effortless things tend to become. But in my life, where I've resisted those internal urges and those internal feelings, and I tried to hold on to things longer than I should have, because we've all been in relationships, whether it's a friendship or an intimate relationship, where we stayed in that relationship too long. And the idea is to move on when you know that your paths are just going in a different direction. It happens sometimes. I mean, think about all the kids you used to hang out with in elementary school. How many of you still talk to today? How about middle school or high school or college? It's like as you're younger, it's like those people tend to fall away. You make new friends, or when you change jobs. How many people do you still talk to from like 2 jobs ago? I mean, think about that. It's just life has changed. And the more you can learn to accept that life has changed and embrace it, the easier life is going to come at you, the more effortless things are going to be. But the more you try to hold on to things and force things to stay the way they are, because it's like in your particular case, it's like a relationship's ending, you know it. Deep down, you feel you should go in a new direction, but you think to yourself, shouldn't I want to marry one of these girls? Shouldn't I want to stay? It's like, I mean, at the end of the day, that's just what you heard from somebody else. But what is your own personal truth is saying my heart's moving in a different direction. And so in a way, it's like you're kind of feeling guilty for what you feel internally, as opposed to saying, hey, well, my heart's moving in a new direction, so let's go explore where it's going to take me. I mean, to me, it's like moving around or traveling or taking on a new job or a new business or creating something new, selling a house, buying a new house, buying a new car. I mean, all those things give you new experience, new people coming into your life. And so, like I said, you hold on to stuff, we tend to suffer. And so my advice to you basically is, instead of being sad that the relationship is over, be glad that it happened. Be grateful that you were able to have one cool, amazing relationship with a cool chick after another. And be excited about who you're going to meet next, because maybe you'll spend the rest of your life with the next person. Or maybe you'll spend the rest of your life like this, where you spend 3 or 4 years in a relationship, really enjoy it, and then move on to somebody new. I mean, love stories are fun. And I mean, like I said, when relationships end, it's really tough, but I believe what would help you is like, what's helped me is I just realized that if the person was really meant to be in your life long term, they would do and say the things in order to stay in your life long term. It takes two. 2 people have to want to be together 24/7 in order to make a marriage or a long-term relationship work. And sometimes one or both people realize it. And the quicker you can get to a place where you accept that and just say, hey, life has changed, growth is optional, and just kind of let go and let God and let things kind of come and go into your life. When your heart starts moving you in a new direction, learn to honor that. Learn to trust that feeling. In my own personal life, the more I trust that, the better off I've been. In the past, when I've hindered that or I've resisted it, my life tended to become more difficult and more challenging and ultimately more painful down the road. Because again, it's like it's when you dishonor your feelings and it's like you stuff them down, like, nah, I can't do that. That would be selfish of me to leave this. That would be selfish of me to go pursue a new business or a new job or a new career. You really have to focus. If you want to be happy in life, you got to focus on taking care of you first. Getting to a place where you're happy and you love who you are and you appreciate who you are and you accept that and appreciate the fact that everybody that's in your life is there because they're supposed to be there. They're there because they have a gift for you. I read something that was really powerful recently. It was something I saw on Twitter. And it was a really cool way of looking at things. And they basically said, because we all have relationships that end, and you kind of look back, you regret it. I can miss that person, or I miss that job, or I miss the people I used to work with, or I miss that girlfriend, or whatever it happens to be. The way to look at it that'll give you peace is that person's role in the movie of your life is now over. And now there's a space for somebody new that you haven't even met yet to come in and build something new with them. Something to think about. So if you want to get my help personally with a challenge or a situation that you have, whether it's a job or a dating, pickup, relationship advice, or you need career advice or help with your career, or you want to start that business you've always started, or you want to get your health back on track, go to my website, click the products tab, which will be at the top of your screen, and just follow the instructions for booking a paid phone coaching session. And I will talk to you soon.